real big changes coming on through, because so far, very similar. IG, they felt like they had to take away the Skarner from Monki. It's been one of his best pickups. It's been the most fun champion for him to play throughout the entirety of this split, at least in my opinion. WE, they don't want to see the Vi on their screens. I wonder if that means we are actually going to see a Pantheon. It got all the way through to the second round of bans in the previous game, which was very surprising. The highest pick ban champion that we've got in the entirety of the LPL.
I'm curious what the ban comes out to be from IG, because there's still 3 priority junglers in Pantheon, Xin, and Trundle when it comes to skirmishing. So if you just want to ban the worst defender out of all 3 of them, and then you take the trade, maybe you're okay. I imagine that you probably ban Trundle in that case. Oh, it's the Skarner.
Yeah,
because they respect Monki's ability on it too much.
Yeah, they really are scared right here of that Skarner. They are going to ban out exactly what they had previously, and it is just going to be that Taliyah first pick right here for Karis. Now, he's not exactly looked great on this champion, but it does help out in the fact that him and Monki can link up and get involved in the other lanes, even if his own laning phase isn't necessarily going so well. This does mean IG get the pick of the litter when it comes to these junglers. You said it, as those top 3 champions still available, the Trundle is going to be the pick right here for Wei. I've really enjoyed watching Wei play the Trundle, and I've just enjoyed the Trundle in general, and I think it also really does hurt what WE likes to do, because they love to have themselves something tankier for Monki, something tankier for Cube, and you can just get ripped through right here with the Trundle.
Yeah, the fact that it achieves not only taking probably the highest priority skirmisher jungler still left in the game, but also denies the ability for WE to then take a tank comfortably for themselves, whether it's from jungle or for top lane in Cube, because of that subjugate priority and that ability to just make your tank not really a tank anymore. And then it opens up TheShy, who has been one of our best tank top laners in the entire freaking league, and he plays it like a carry.
Yeah, absolutely. He just completely takes over. Something I've really enjoyed watching him play recently has even been the Ornn. You don't usually think of Ornn as being something pretty flashy, but TheShy has been making it look like that. Monki is going to grab himself that Pantheon. The Pantheon very strong, and paired up alongside the Taliyah, that map mobility. These champions can get into these side lanes so quickly. We just need to see WE play around it. They can't afford to now just sit back on their laurels and let the game happen to them.
This was a little bit of a concern for IG, but I think they recognized that if they went for the Pantheon, WE would still get the Xin Zhao as a combo with the Taliyah, and therefore you don't have the Trundle into that, so you might as well just take your chances with having this Trundle that can at least beat either of those two in one-on-one skirmishes and might be able to give you some decent 2v2 power. Rookie is going to go with the Ahri to complete the first round of draft phase with IG. The fact that Corki was also picked up for Gala, relatively safe AD carry. And as you mentioned, Bloxxer, right now the core identity for WE is trying to play for the side lanes, using the power of these jungle mid duo global ultimates and snowball either Taeyoon or maybe Cube on this Yorick.
Yeah, we'll see what he's going to be able to do with this one. The Yorick is an interesting champion, especially paired alongside these 2 very mobile champs in the mid and jungle. You would usually expect to get something a little bit more aggressive in the top lane that you can go and influence. At the same time, though, it's something Cube has really liked to play, and you can just leave it alone a little bit. I think that tells me that WE are going to be looking to focus down onto the bottom side and really get aggressive down there. It is going to be tempered a little bit by the fact you've now got Corki right here for Gala, so he's going to be in a strong spot to just go toe-to-toe, get aggressive early on.
Still needs a solid support pairing. Because there's no Nico anymore, tank supports are going to be going up in priority. IG taking away one of Vampire's best champions from Split 2 in that Rakan. This does open up Alistar as the cream of the crop here for IG. And they definitely need hard engage, because as good as Trundle is in making tanks feel bad and being able to diffuse plays, his engage ability, not so great.
Yeah, it's a little bit weaker right there. Alistar going to be banned away right here by WE to round out this second round of bans. And so what do IG decide to go towards? You can leave yourself your support until the very end if you feel like you've got something particularly interesting you want to pair up alongside the Corki. If not, the majority of these engaged supports are still available to you if you just want to go for a little bit more of a fighting-based bot lane.
They're going to give TheShy a little bit more time to look at the entire composition to decide what he wants to do, which I can really get along with, because if something like a Jhin is locked in, then TheShy is even more incentivized to slam a tank and try and punish the fact that there is just very little damage coming out from WE's backline.
I mean, who gets through a tank at this point, right? You lock yourself in the Ornn right here, and good luck. Good luck right here as WE being able to get through them. I'm really surprised to see the Jhin locked in. Jhin, a champion that you usually want to allow to let into the later stages of the game, and this just doesn't feel like we're really going to be seeing WE needing high priority early on, but that's a bit risky when you've got yourself that Pantheon, the Taliyah. You're not using some of those champions' biggest strengths across the map. Still, they can team fight well, and it is just going to be that Cho'Gath locked in. You ask for a tank, and well, the later into the game we get, the harder and harder it's going to be for WE to deal with TheShy.
Not only TheShy is going to be a big beefy dinosaur, but also this is just a miserable matchup for the Yorick because rank 1 ultimate, the Maiden is not tanky enough or does not have enough HP to live through a feast. That is just a free stack for TheShy's Cho'Gath. So IG have successfully waited out the entire bot lane rotation to confirm whether they wanted to go for something tankier in the top lane, and now they get the best of both worlds. Bloxxer, this is such a good matchup, and I'm curious if this shifts the priority of where Wei wants to play to.
I feel like Wei's in a really easy spot in this game where you can play around the bottom side if you really want to. You can play around the top side, but none of these lanes feel like they're going to massively need babysitting. These lanes can be proactive on their own, and then you get to jump on in, get yourself that pillar down, which is one of the best gank tools in the entire game, I'd argue, and it just unlocks you across the entirety of this map. The only lane I don't really see him getting involved in too much is going to be the mid lane, but even then, if you want to, you can blow the flash out of the Taliyah early on, and then just allow yourself an even easier time of it here as rookie.
Yeah. Very crucial that IG got the rel for themselves. That is going to be their one big engage tool. Otherwise, it is just kind of a pick composition setup from IG, but the scaling factor, especially when it comes to their front line, is very, very dangerous. And for WE, they are really, really investing into the power of Monki and Karis being able to influence the side lanes early. We'll have to see how well they can get things off the ground at that level 6 mark. But here we go, y'all. Loading up onto the Rift for Game 2 between WE and IG. Let's get to it. Let's go.
Those are some pretty good gyros right there. The IG fans, very, very excited. WE, a little bit quieter, Would have, you know, liked a little bit more from them, but you can understand, right? A 2-10 team, as much as they win those second games do not win you series. Monki stepping up pretty aggressively right now, gonna spot out where it is that Wei and Rookie are. You aren't necessarily gonna be able to get that ward down though, interestingly, so you're not gonna be able to see if this is where the stay is. Karis also stepping himself up right here. WE, they're playing with a little bit of fire right now, but the level 1 between Wei and Rookie really not gonna be that strong. They don't have to be too worried.
Yeah. It would be very strange to see something like Pillar Charm come out from Trundle and Ahri level 1. So Karis can operate with that assumption and get a little bit in the face of both of those champions there. And because he was not able to clear out the ward, WE will be able to maintain that vision on the Raptor camp to see where Wei is going to path. Not sure if that is going to prompt him to try and do something cheeky with his early opener, because at the end of the day, this is just more confirmation rather than, you know, knowledge that you would not have known otherwise, since a lot of times we're seeing junglers just do full clears anyway.
Oh my, this is a very aggressive positioning right here out of WE's bot lane. They are continually stepping up. There you go, another hook.
Wow, Meiko was not able to body block that dredge line, but goes in and at least distracts Taeyoon from being able to free fire onto Gala. That does force the early heal out of Vampire, surprisingly enough, but Gala is chunked below 50% HP, so this laning phase is going to be a little difficult for the Corki.
Yeah, you're absolutely fine to just trade that heal over. It gives you that early lane pressure, going to get you to that level 3 quicker than your opponents are going to be able to. And it also just insulates you from what can be a pretty scary time with the Corki. The Corki does a decent chunk of damage early on. Obviously spikes real hard once you can get yourself that first item completed. But being able to just push in, bully into this bottom lane is going to be nice. Monki fully spotted out right here, and he's going to get collapsed upon. You can see Rookie already making his way over as well as the bot lane.
IG are trying to do the best
the
they can to
TP.
avoid any conflict. Wow, an aggressive TP as Karis was able to find, I guess, a cheater recall against Rookie as he is forced to push in this wave. Karis can't stay for long, though, because this is going to be a cannon minion wave that he misses out on. Now Rookie has a chance to try and impact it. Gala and Meiko might have overstayed their welcome here. Meiko absorbs the dredge line and the stun. Gala's able to make it out fine, and Meiko doesn't even have to burn a single summoner spell. And look at this! IG are just running them around the map. They're missing out on minions.
Yeah, this is really odd. I thought it was just going to be the full collapse coming in onto Monki, but instead, Rookie decides to just keep pushing that lane. Monki isn't able to go and steal away the blue buff on the first attempt, is also not going to be able to take it on the second.
Look how patient Wei and the rest of IG are playing this. Dredge line absorbed by Rookie, but now
Vampire
Vampires is in trouble, and Wei just flashes on top of him, takes a bite out of his booty cheeks, and Monki now might be in danger here. Karis getting flashed on by Meiko. The rest of IG trying to collapse onto the mid laner, but because Monki and Taeyoon were able to isolate Wei, they take him down, and now Meiko is a little too overextended, and Taeyoon able to claim his own kill.
It's a mess of a fight, but it ends in a 2-for-1 right there for WE, and they managed to get these kills on some of these key members, Taeyoon, Monki, walking away with extra gold in their pockets, and IG, their champions, just not really doing enough for them early on. It's messy, it's extended. WE gonna be happy.
I'm really curious about at what point do IG think through these skirmish scenarios and realize, okay, we have overplayed our hand too far. Because we have to remember that WE are a team that if they are given the opportunity to just blitz right into you and just try and hands check you,
Oh, they want it.
they will.
Yeah.
And despite IG having a big glow up all the way towards the end of Split 3 and a majority of their members, you know, polishing their mechanics a bit more and trying to play out some of these micro interactions, it's sometimes the affectionate criticism is that these guys are old. They got old man hands, and sometimes it does fail them in these scenarios.
Yeah, and sometimes it looks like that's the complete wrong take to have. IG occasionally get themselves 10 years younger, the hands come back to them, and they can just 100% rip your heads off, but sometimes that is not the case. And it is a really interesting playstyle for WE to have adopted, because when you look at the people on their team, you wouldn't really think, yes, this is a hands check squad, not in the same way that a BLG and IG are, not in the way a top esports can be, of course. But they can do it. It's part of the way they've been winning all of these Game 3s against good teams. They haven't been losing 2-0 versus the better teams. They've still been taking these games, and it's off of these very aggressive playstyles. I like the fact they were able to grab a couple of early kills right here for WE, but they cannot afford to let their foot off of the gas.
Speaking of which, we're at the 6-minute mark. The first dragon has already spawned. Neither team has made any moves to contested so far in the early game. Meiko wrapping around. Rookie going aggressive on the Karis, still finds the charm, knowing that this TheShy does not have the flash from the skirmish before. And even though Meiko goes wide on the Q, it's okay. His presence alone guarantees the kill going over to Wei.
Yeah, just body blocking the exit. You're not going to be able to walk away from that one. And IG, they grab themselves another crucial kill right here. Now, with that mid laner down, of course, Karis going to be able to get back involved pretty quickly with that Weaver's Wall. IG know that, aren't just going to start themselves up onto this Drake, but this Drake is surely going to be attractive to both of these teams. The Hex Tech, one of the best, if not the best, individual Drakes to be able to pick up, and right now, Monki heading his way on towards it. A lot of pings happening.
Pantheon, notoriously great objective secure for things like the Dragon and the Rift Herald, because you get that execute to combo with your smite to be able to deny it away from the enemy jungler if they were trying to contest it. And because all 4 members from WE's bottom side of the map are here, there's no chance for IG to get in. Now Meiko is stepping over a lot of vision. Vampire does not have flash, so cannot look for a quick play onto Meiko's Rel. Everyone just gets to walk back safely to their own lanes.
Nice. I like that right there out of WE. They find themselves the correct moment to go in.
Look, it happened. He got collapsed on, and he's like, where's my jungler? Where's my Pantheon?
Jungle diff.
Jungle diff. Jungle diff. Wait, right now. Looking for this red buff.
Yeah, just going to be able to steal this one away. Nothing. Steal this one? Take it. It's his own red buff, of course. Hang on. Oh, the hook.
Monki not level 6 yet, but Meiko is getting critically low. Thankfully, the Crashdown Shield is able to block out some of the damage from the Ignite, but level 6 from Taeyoon now gives him the ability to look for a Curtain Call And Meiko has cleared enough distance. Hang on, Monki's going level 6, but he's looking for Rookie instead. The charm run on top of it, but it's not going to be enough to save him. And that speed of warfare secured for WE.
And this is what I wanted to see out of Monki. He wasn't proactive enough in the previous game on that Wukong. Was a little bit of an ult bot, wasn't really able to get involved in any of these early skirmishes. So far, he's gotten himself involved in a couple different plays and uses that ulti really effectively right there. It's a little bit of a fake out. I was expecting it to go bot lane
Me too.
and to try pick up that kill onto Meiko. You have to imagine that's what IG were thinking was about to happen as well, and instead head straight down onto the mid lane. They're able to pick up 2 of the grubs as well, and so these early objectives going over to WE, they grab themselves the feats of warfare as well, and so they are well on their way to being able to fully pick themselves up those upgraded boots.
WE not messing around, trying to contest for the 3rd grub. They already got the 2, so that it gives them an additional objective feat. Wade just gonna come in, yoink this grub, and he's flashing on the Monki? He still has an empowered shield, right?
What the?
Well, Wade, I like the spirit. Unfortunately, I don't think you were ever killing him in that scenario.
And we love to talk about how IG are looking way more consistent recently, and they are, but sometimes their members just make decisions that you're not entirely sure about, and that flash right there, that's a critical flash to now not have for yourself. And to lose it out onto a Monki who's kind of chilling, he's able to walk himself away from that one, is going to be a little bit odd. WE, right now, they're only up by about 300 gold, but it just feels like they're in control of this game.
You gotta be a little careful about the decisions they make. Oh, nice charm into the Q. Not gonna be threatening Vampire anytime soon. Dredge Lines connects onto Meiko. But Karis does not want to throw out the full combo. Maybe he didn't have it off cooldown quite yet. TheShy now trying to take up position in the bottom river. There's no objective to play for another 2 minutes and 10 seconds here, Bloxxer, but it's just IG trying to set up for any Darkness Blaze.
And really, it's WE, I think, who have had the best part of the objectives at the moment and have been doing so with a lot of good vision, right? They've got a lot of defensive vision at the moment, but with still 2 minutes until the objective comes on through, they're going to have time to take a reset here potentially and then push that vision a little bit further into their opponent's jungle. For right now, just going to go back to farming up in these side waves, but IG, they really do just have a lack of vision on the map, and this could come back to bite them. We're getting relatively close to having these teleports unleashed as well. Good damage here onto Rookie too. Karis, he's having himself a series.
It may not look super clean all the time. Uh-oh, Monki, no flash available. Where does he want to turn to? Cube is going to try to bail him out with the Dark Procession, but it locks his own jungler in as well momentarily, and Wade just beats him down with the Giant Club. Meiko's here with the TP, so is Vampire. He takes one out on the way. Rookie and TheShy trying to fight their way out alongside their Rel here. Cube gets dangerously low, but not quite low yet as he finally gets dropped by Meiko's Rel. Rookie is able to get the last Spirit Rush charge to escape. Can't say the same about Meiko.
No, WE, they're going to come out on top of that one, grab themselves a couple of extra kills, and Vampire played that one really well, flashing on forwards, gets himself that depth charge through to make sure the final kill goes on over to WE, and then from there can turn around, play the rest of that fight on through. Rookie, he survives at least. He doesn't get taken down, so this mid lane tower is only going to have a little bit of damage taken off of it, not even the full plate. Monki, okay. Just going to use that one to get down into the bottom side of the map. I don't even mind using it there.
Karis still has flash, but the full combo and the Q into the crash down. Karis just says, I'm not getting out of this one. I'm going to look for a kill on the Rookie yet. Just trying to throw more rocks, but Meiko body blocks them. He stands his ground, doesn't even burn the Summoner spell, and not even in threat of trying to go down here. Cube now in a lot of trouble. The pillar puts him back up on the right side of IG's map, and TheShy is going to take a bite out of him.
Yeah, not going to be able to get the full nom stack, unfortunately. Still going to be a nice quick kill picked up on the top side of the map, and that is going to be critical because we do have that Drake down on the bottom side. WE, they've got full control of the bottom side of the map. Looks like the trade is just going to be a ton of plating and gold off of this top lane tower into Shy, and wait, they're going to easily get the whole thing, I think.
They don't even have more than one grub, Bloxxer, and they're just beating this thing down. The power of Trundle Chomp resetting on the turret, and you get the auto resets from the Shy's E as well with the Vorpal spikes. Wow.
Yep.
Wow, 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 wow.
Full tower. Full tower. Still, you do manage to pick yourself up that Drake, so that is going to be the feats going on over to WE. It didn't matter that IG grabbed themselves that first tower, but it does take them ahead in gold, full plating as well. And it all comes off of the back of this just sort of messy play that WE come out on top of. This is going horribly wrong for WE until Vampire arrives. Vampire getting here is critical. Flashes forwards, depth charge down, make sure that Wei dies, and then he can turn it around into the rest of the play. I really like the way that Vampire plays this one out.
I think he was able to get through the crash down because of that flash, just guaranteeing that Wei does not escape. Wow, really nicely played. And it's moments like that where we realize that the anonymous take about Vampire would have been a top tier support on another team holds credit. Yeah. Vampire does have really good moments, and I have to say, this is still the same player that I remember making some of the most egregious mistakes back in Split 1 and early Split 2, where I was just a big...
Bro, do you remember Split 2 placements?
Oh
Vampire played a Nautilus game in Split 2 placements that was easily one of the most egregious games of League of Legends I've ever watched.
And look how far he's come. Look how far the glow up has come. Sometimes you have to get the int out of you before you can start shining on the stage. And unfortunately for WE, it can't just be your support stepping up. You got to have everyone, as that has been the story that we have always talked about when it comes to WE.
Absolutely, and obviously you've still got this matchup and then one more matchup for WE. It's not over for them yet, but with a little bit of a look on towards the next year, Monki, Taeyoon, Vampire, that's a squad you can build around. Whether or not you want to move on from Cube or Karis is obviously up to WE, but bringing in some better solo laners for these guys could be really exciting for them.
That is if WE are not able to make this roster work for a surprise miracle run in playoffs. Just the way that things have been panning out in Rumble stage, obviously they have boasted some of the most, if not the most games out of any LPL team in Group Ascend, but
they got practice.
They're trying to level up before we get into the play-in stage, and against the play-in team of their choosing. At this rate, more than likely EDG, unless they can turn this series around and maybe contest GDG for 6th seed. But right now, the talk is about Rift Herald, the next objective on the map, as Vampire might be caught out, but good buffer with the dredge line gets him out of danger.
Vampire been playing this one out very well. The Herald is going to respawn, and now this is a pretty big death brush. Unfortunately, IG going to be well aware that this one is happening. Ooh. Vampire throws out the hook, doesn't quite land it.
He won't get the cooldown reduced off of it since he didn't hit terrain. Cube walks over first. TheShy is going to limp on over afterwards. WE all turning on to the big dinosaur. Meiko setting up a big flank on the left side. Finds the Q onto Vampire. He buffers with it the dredge line, but he is giving himself up as a sacrifice as everyone else from WE turns onto TheShy, takes out the Cho'Gath. But Meiko, can he get in? He's already used the Magnet Storm. He finds another Q stun, and here comes Rookie pursuing with the Spirit Rush, looking for Monki. Throws out the shield, forced to flash away. Taeyoon gets dropped by the Chomp, and Rookie doesn't have another Spirit Rush charge available. He does have the flash. Can he get over these minions and look for a Charm Flash play? Doesn't even need it. Finds it onto Cube. Here's the crash down. There's the kill, and IG take 4 down.
4 kills and the Herald on the back end of this play for IG, and it's WE with just mispositioning right there. They get themselves collapsed upon immediately, and Vampire is not tanky enough to be able to stand in the face of IG's damage at this point. TheShy, yes, he goes down at the start of that fight, but he draws 4 members in, and it means that the fight is split, and IG, they are going to be more than happy with the way that that one shakes out.
Take a look back at this fight as WE, they were all trying to find a way to pincer onto the right side, but then as soon as TheShy steps on up, Vampire says, "Go, guys."
They're not communicating. Vampire goes in at the exact moment as all 4 of his teammates walk up to go deal with TheShy. If they keep walking back to just go get TheShy, this fight is totally playable. Now you're in a 4v5 situation. Instead, you end up losing out onto your support, and you're just getting chased back at this point. And IG, they've got themselves a composition that's just going to find it easier to chase in onto you. And chase they do, that final charm, just to lock up the 4th kill of that team fight. And it was pretty even before Raafaa, but now IG, they've got themselves a pretty dang big advantage.
And once again, it's WE that find a little bit of a window where they're ahead in the early game. And IG don't even have to wait until the mid and later stages of the game past the 20-minute mark. It's just right here at the Rift Herald, decisively now finding an advantage. And this makes the 3rd dragon so much more important for WE to secure for themselves as the dredge line into the full ultimate onto Meiko only, but Vampire takes a lot of damage in return. He's forced back redemption, heals him up a little bit. TheShy clipped by the dredge line, but this is a big dinosaur. Do you really want to take him on first? WE now realize they're completely isolated from Monki. He tries to get back to his team. Magnusor from Meiko, he goes down, but he sets up the knockup. Wei trying to step up with the subjugate. He's too tanky to deal with right now. WE forced to retreat, trying to kite back. The charm connects onto Karis, and he is blown to smithereens by Gala. The Orb of Deception, Taeyoon trying to flash away, but Gala is ready to hunt him down until he is going to die. Charm does not hit, but the blast cone will not save him as Gala takes him out midair.
And it's just going to be Cube still available. He's going to go for this mid lane tower. Going to get collapsed upon. He's expected to trade this for his life. It's at least some little bit of gold back into the pockets of WE. Pretty low. Rookie actually taking a huge chunk right here.
Pandas!
Okay.
Those pandas are terrifying. Don't let them hit you, Rookie.
Okay, now Cube should be dead right here. He's not going to be able to trade this one back over. Okay, Gala gonna grab that kill as well. Gala remaining deathless throughout the entirety of this series.
Take a look back at the replay. If you're using a majority of your pick tools for the support,
yeah.
that's
Meiko's fine as well. He now gets the redemption off too, so he's going to heal back up massively. And then again, now you use all your damage onto the support, then you use it all onto the tanky Cho'Gath of TheShy, and it just pulls these members out of position. Monki gets caught out. There's little bits of damage coming back through. This is now a 4v5 situation, but I gotta be honest, Rookie has been laser accurate with the charms so far this game. He's been landing almost every single one, all of the critical ones that matter, and it's just leaving these WE members without any recourse in these team fights.
The fact that TheShy was able to squeeze out a 3-man rupture right as he was going down swinging,
yeah,
stalled the fight out even more. And it's just these small moments from IG members where even if they're on their deathbed, they still are firing one last fatal bullet into the members of WE.
I don't know, we're getting a game 3 here, Raafaa. I gotta be honest, IG, when they get themselves an advantage, we highlighted it at the start of the series, and it looks like it's coming through so far. They love to just get themselves a little bit of an advantage and just hold it on. Even from a deficit, this team can fight on back, and I just don't know what WE are going to be able to do to get themselves back into this game. This is going to be the Utterkan going on over, going to be smoked away by Wei. Shy wasn't able to quite nom that one, but still, he's going to be happy enough with this. Pillar comes on through, Karis and Vampire will be able to get themselves out though. And so what do you do as WD? How do you get back into this game? Cube has been able to get himself a little bit of an advantage through just these towers, but he hasn't really even gotten himself a CS lead, and he's still taking these kind of slow.
WE have not really been able to empower Cube this game.
Oh, hang on.
Here. Hang on. Okay, he pops the subjugate and he's able to get a lot of healing right on back. Now, everyone else from IG has arrived to the party. Decent damage onto Rookie. Of course, he uses Spirit Rush, but TheShy is just 1v5ing by himself. And look at
Meiko!
From Meiko, baby! There's a reason why the glow up from this guy has been so massive for IG. Finds the critical fight engage, and IG wiped the floor with WE.
It's just going to be Vampire limping his way out of this one. Is going to be able to survive, but that's going to be a mid lane tier 1 tower coming on through right here for IG, and they could just push through as many of these lanes as possible. The only unfortunate thing here for IG is that we're 21.5 minutes into this game. There's no Baron available for them to take, but they're just going to get all of the structures on the map instead.
Bloxxer, I'm just waiting for the replay and for the epic slow motion of that flash crash down Magnus.
That was gorgeous.
That was sexy. My God.
Wei nearly gets himself caught out, but as you said, the Trundle going to be a little bit tanky right here. And then the second that you actually just get TheShy into this fight, it's so hard to play out. Meiko is sprinting it from base. Flash. Magnus Storm crash down. Beautiful combo right there across all of the members. This fight was still probably won for IG anyway. But Meiko, final nail in that coffin. He makes sure that it's going to be won without a doubt.
IG trying to leave no questions on the last game of this series as they are looking to close it out in dominant fashion. There were some hiccups early on, and to WE's credit, they took IG head on and tried to fight their way through, just hands checking them. And it was working for a while, but IG slowly and decisively found ways back into the game, went for critical trades on the map, and now Monki might be in a world of trouble here. No flash available. Oh my god, Wiz just beating him to death! Yeah, Jungle Diff in the chat as IG is able to just eliminate Monki from the rift here without really any other interference. And now they're going to try to continue into the siege mode. TheShy getting dropped critically low. That's a lot of damage onto the big dinosaur, but thankfully for him, he's still got a teleport. And hey, WE, there's a middle inhibitor turret under siege right now.
Yeah, they're going to lose out onto this tower. Just more gold going over to IG. They're able to extend that advantage out to 8,000 gold at this point. And they could also turn back around and peel on over towards this Drake spawning in 20 seconds time. It would be their second of the game. They're not really getting themselves towards that soul anytime soon, but it's still just taking more gold, more effective stats away from WE, and just keeping the pressure up as high as possible.
Taeyoon. Don't go to the right. Good man. Good man.
Follow your friends. Follow your friends. Do not walk away. Cube here, again, he's just trying to take down as many of these towers as possible, get these objective bounties over into his team. And I gotta be honest, at this point in the game, it is kind of just Cube who's actually dealing the damage. He still hurts. If you get enough time with your maiden up and available, with those little pandas hitting onto people as well, you can get through even the tankier members of IG. He's just not being given the time to play.
His front line is getting evaporated before he gets a chance to fire a full clip, man. That's the unfortunate part about playing Jhin sometimes in these late game scenarios where you've got so much damage in each bullet, especially when you get to that fourth one in the chamber. But sometimes the fight just ends before you are able to work through your very slow attack speed to get to that point. And when we think about WE, how even though this series does not seem likely for a comeback, WE are still going to try and fight through the very end, because winning this series is the key for them to try and get a better play-ins matchup. If they lose this series, they are locked to 7th seed. There's nothing else that they can do.
They're going to end up playing up against an EDG, which, terrifying, right? We were looking at them as the best the Group Nirvana had to offer for a long time. Vampire manages to get himself that dredge line away, so isn't going to fall. Still, this is WE being scattered to the four corners away from this Baron. Baron likely going to be the last thing that IG need to crack this game open and get themselves the 2-0.
Between a 1200 smite from Trundle and a feast from Cho'Gath, usually above 1k, TheShy is nowhere near. He's getting engaged upon, but this might just call the reinforcements of IG to collapse on in. Two-man Magna Storm from Meiko sets it up, and Gala is just pumping damage, and TheShy isn't even close to being brought down yet. He's just a Goliath, and WE don't have the stones from David to be able to take him down anytime soon. Taeyoon flashing over the wall, trying to create space, but TheShy flashes on top and noms his ass to death. IG find the ace, and they're going to take this series in style.
Yeah, they're not even going to need the Baron right here. Coming into today, WE had only won or lost 2-0 twice. One win and one loss of them. Now they're going to have another one coming on through. IG, they are in form. They are looking so strong, and they are competing for that first place out of Group Ascent.
And with that, WE are locked into 7th seed, courtesy of IG. And for Invictus Gaming, these boys still have a chance to contest not just for 2nd seed, but maybe even the best team in the LPL.
IG looking so strong at the moment, right? But this just feels like another one of those games where WE, they're close to making it work. It's a couple little mistakes that they have here and there, a couple little bits of over-aggression. And more than that, I think, we highlighted it, right? As this draft was happening, where's the damage? Do you have the damage to get through these tankier members? Well, the answer is an emphatic no. Absolutely not.
We watched the draft unfold like a train crash, just slowly happening in real time.
Yeah.
We saw the accident like 10 minutes before it was going to get there. You and I, Bloxxer, were like, oh, if you lock in Jhin here, that just means TheShy is like, yes, I will build someone, I'll play someone that stacks a bunch of HP and a ton of armor, and you're just going to be incredibly sad. And considering that the most consistent carry from WE in over the course of 2025 has been Taeyoon, those are some tough responsibilities to put on his shoulders for this game that would have been giving WE a chance to still compete for 6th seed.
Exactly. Now, with that loss, WE are not able to compete. They are going to be locked in as that 7th seed, and it looked like there were so many moments where you could say, hey, they're going to be able to do it, they're going to be able to take it over, maybe there's a chance that they're going to be able to flip the script, turn the corner, like they did in Split 2, where they were still competing in a lot of those games, and then all of a sudden they went on that massive win streak that got them into a good spot in the playoffs, that got them all the way to, what, 3rd seed? Was it? In the 3rd place in the end of Split number 2? Crazy out of them. But this is the other side of that coin. This is the WE where things don't quite go right for them, where Karis isn't able to step up, where Cube isn't able to find those big moments. Gotta be honest though, in this game, Monki and Taeyoon were the bigger problems. They were just not finding those angles, and Vampire, despite his best efforts, just couldn't put his carries into a spot to be able to deal that damage.
Didn't find nearly the same amount of strengths to leverage, and once again, it just seemed like it was a lack of proactivity and back-to-back sequencing on some of those timers. There's a couple moments where it caught IG by surprise. The fact that Monki dinged level 6 off the Scuttle Crab, immediately flies to mid lane where Rookie still doesn't have flash from the prior skirmish. Those are the sequences where, okay, you make this successful play, you need to immediately revisit and make that same play again as soon as you get your ultimate up, or you know that a crucial ultimate or summoner spell is down. And if you can't make it mid lane, then you have to look somewhere else. We need to see the Weaver's Wall and the Grand Starfall being used proactively to affect side lanes, and it seemed like WE weren't always looking for those plays, or at least IG weren't giving them the window to. So when it came down to fights, it happened at objectives, and that's where IG is always going to thrive.
I don't remember any big proactive Weaver's Wall coming out from Karis, right? Monki used a couple of those Grand Starfalls, but Karis almost every single time was using the Weaver's Wall. Not, honestly. I'm trying to think about, like, oh, just to wall people off. No, that didn't really end up happening that often. To get over to fights occasionally, but it wasn't these proactive plays onto the side lane that we were really hoping for with this hyper-map mobile duo in the jungle and the mid lane.
If I'm going to be real, Bloxxer, I think I saw more, like, cross-map roams from Vampire. From Karis on to Taliyah, which, you know, shout-outs to Vampire for being able to find a lot of those windows, but Taliyah has been one of the best mid laners in the game for a really long time. Not because she's this insane control mage damage output. No, she gets outscaled by Victor, she gets outscaled by Ryze. Orianna can outburst her in certain scenarios too, right? But it comes from her global impact. We gotta be using that more.
And it was also, even if you're now taking one of the best tools away from her global impact, those seismic shoves were not hitting. Great time for me to say it as it lands onto Meiko, but Meiko getting caught by it isn't going to win you the team fight. And it felt like in these big moments where a massive seismic shove combo would have been able to win you these team fights, it wasn't happening. We weren't getting to see it landed at all. And without, you're just throwing stones. You saw in the end, Karis did a decent chunk of the overall team's damage. You're always going to be able to if you're just constantly pumping those Qs out. But it's the other bits of the kit that make Taliyah this high priority champion, and we just didn't get to see it. So for WE, it's unfortunate, it happens. They're gonna be our 7th seed coming out of Group Ascent. Still, looking forwards for them. They get themselves that play-ins matchup to try and make it to the playoffs. As much as they are not the strongest team we have in Group Ascent, I still feel like they are gonna be a tough out for EDG if that's who they play. I'm not saying EDG can't do it, I just don't think they go quietly.
The advantages of where WE are strong, half of those advantages might be tough for EDG to match. Because if you think about jungle versus jungle, Monki has been definitively one of our most surprising and impressive junglers that unfortunately is just on not a great team compared to the rest of Group Ascend. And you can only imagine what would Monki's standing be in LPL if he was on a team that was surrounded by better laners to play for. Xiaohao has just been super consistent for EDG, and he is the driving engine. But then, the bot lane differential, I think, is where WE could be favored, because not even the most consistent AD carry in Group Nirvana, and Palkia, as flashy as he is, he's still a rookie. He's not yet consistent, and maybe Vampire and Taeyoon can take advantage of that.
Yeah, you fight WE on the right day, and they are absolutely terrifying. Same thing for EDG. These teams are not consistent between them, and it's going to be a fascinating matchup, if that is the matchup we get. Rookie going to pick himself up that player of the game. I'm very happy with that one. It was a much better look from Rookie in this second one than it was in the first.
Yep. Once again, he only got dropped one time, and that was just a very, very fast play from Monki's Pantheon, so can't even fault Rookie for that. Everything else, like you said, laser with those charms and being able to hit crucial targets for a majority of the game. But that concludes the series for WE and Invictus Gaming. As we said before, WE now locked in officially as the 7th seed for Group Ascend, and Invictus Gaming now contesting BLG for 2nd seed, and depending on what happens in our final series of the night between FPX and Top Esports, could be challenging as the #1 team in the LPL. We'll see how this all unfolds right after this break.